picture this. You're out there, truly in the wild, with the hum of the power grid miles and miles away. You're living that dream, right? Totally self-sufficient, finally free. But then, wham, reality hits. The generator sputters its last breath. The water tank is looking dangerously low in the sheer daily effort. It feels less like freedom and more like you're fighting a never-ending battle. This isn't just some story. For one incredibly determined pioneer, this was their tipping point. The dream was starting to look like a nightmare, crushed under the weight of trying to do it all alone. They were this close to throwing in the towel, thinking maybe that off-grid paradise was just a fantasy after all. Now, what if I told you that a whopping 70% of folks who try to go off-grid hit a major crisis within their first 2 years? They're often blindsided by unexpected problems and sheer burnout. Our pioneer? They were smack dab in the middle of that statistic, looking failure right in the eye. But then something changed. A discovery. A whole bunch of clever, almost unbelievable tricks and solutions that didn't just fix things. They totally flipped the script, turning that daily struggle into a life that wasn't just surviving, but actually thriving. And these aren't your everyday tips. These are absolute game changers. Let's be real. Living off-grid isn't just about throwing up some solar panels and planting a few tomatoes. It's like a constant dance with Mother Nature, a real test of your smarts, and a full-on masterclass in making the most of what you've got. Our pioneer? They'd done their homework, invested in the basics, but the non-stop demands were just suffocating. Power going up and down became a huge source of stress. Water, which you'd think would be everywhere, took so much work to make safe and save. And trash? An afterthought back in the city, but out here, it became a literal and figurative mountain. The romance of chopping wood? That wore pretty thin when every single muscle ached, and the garden, which was supposed to feed them, often felt like another hungry mouth demanding attention. Doubt started to sneak in, quiet but always there. Could they keep this up? Was it even worth all this? That independent life they dreamed of was quickly fading, replaced by pure exhaustion and fear. Just when they were about to wave the white flag, a lifeline appeared. Not some fancy new gadget, but a network of shared wisdom. Old-school knowledge being rediscovered, mixed with some really clever, down-to-earth innovations. These weren't complicated, pricey fixes. They were hacks born out of sheer necessity, polished by real-world experience, solutions so effective, yet so often missed, they almost seemed too good to be true. Our pioneer, with a fresh burst of hope, started trying them out one by one. First thing on the list to fix was energy. It's the lifeblood of any modern homestead, right? Solar panels are awesome, no doubt, a real cornerstone of off-grid power. But what about the stuff most people don't see coming? The threats and the drains on efficiency? First up, the silent killer, an electromagnetic pulse, or EMP. Whether it's a massive solar flare or something else, an EMP could totally fry your whole electrical setup, your inverter, your batteries, everything. The hack? A surprisingly simple Faraday cage. You can build one yourself around your super important electronics using conductive mesh or even just layers of aluminum foil. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's a real practical way to protect your power independence. Next, if you're lucky enough to have even a tiny steady stream or creek on your land, you've got to look into the magic of micro hydropower. Solar power takes a nap at night and wind can be totally unreliable, but flowing water, that can give you continuous, dependable electricity. Often it generates way more power for its size than other renewable sources. So many people overlook this, thinking they need some raging river, but today's micro hydro turbines are incredibly efficient. They can be a real game changer, especially during those long, cloudy winter months. And finally, here's a hack to make that expensive battery bank last longer. Because let's face it, that's often the priciest part of an off-grid system. It's not just about having enough storage, it's about managing it smartly. Instead of running one giant battery bank into the ground, think about a rotational system with smaller, modular battery units. This means you can rest, maintain, or swap out individual units without taking down your whole power supply. Combine this with carefully watching your charge and discharge cycles, and definitely avoid draining them too deep, and you'll seriously boost their lifespan, saving a ton of money in the long run. Water is life, plain and simple. But when you're off-grid, it's also a constant thing to think about. Wells are great if you can drill one, but rainwater harvesting? Almost anyone can do that. The unbelievable hack here is building your own high-efficiency, multi-stage biosand filter. Forget those pricey store-bought units. Using stuff you can easily find, like gravel, sand, and charcoal, layered just right in a series of containers, you can create a system that pulls out sediment, bacteria, and a lot of other nasty stuff. This can make rainwater safe for household use and even drinking after a final boil or a bit of UV treatment. It's old wisdom meeting new smarts. Then there's gray water. You know, the water from your sinks, showers, and laundry. Most people just let it drain away, but that's a precious resource going to waste. The hack is a tiered gray water recycling system for your plants. Water from the kitchen sink, which might have little food bits, can be filtered and sent to your hardy fruit trees or your compost pile. Laundry water, as long as you're using biodegradable soaps, can go to ornamental plants or your woodlot. And shower water, which is often the cleanest, can water your veggie gardens after a simple filtration. It's all about matching the water quality to what the plants need, which dramatically cuts down on how much fresh water you use and helps create these amazing, lush, productive landscapes. Okay, waste management isn't the sexiest topic, but it's one of the most critical parts of living off-grid. Composting toilets are a well-known solution. They save water and give you fantastic soil booster. But the unbelievable hack? Taking it a step further with vermicomposting toilet systems. That means introducing earthworms directly into a second composting chamber under the toilet, or in a separate batch system. These little guys supercharge the whole decomposition process. They break down waste faster, cut down on odors way more effectively, and produce incredibly nutrient-rich compost with hardly any effort on your part. It's like having nature's own recycling crew working for you around the clock. And what about the non-organic trash, like the plastics and packaging that just seem to pile up? Beyond basic recycling, which can be a real pain if you're in a remote spot, the hack is creative trash transformation. One really cool example is making eco-bricks. You take plastic bottles and pack them super tightly with clean, dry, non-biodegradable waste. These eco-bricks become surprisingly strong and versatile building blocks. You can use them for garden walls, benches, or even small structures. It's literally turning a problem into a resource, which is the true spirit of off-grid living. Are these ideas getting your gears turning? If these hacks are already making you rethink what's possible, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the little notification bell right now. We're always digging up new ways to master self-sufficiency, and you really won't want to miss what's coming up. Growing your own food is absolutely key to being self-sufficient. But what if your soil is terrible or water is hard to come by? Let me introduce you to Hugelkultur. It's a German word that means hill culture or mound culture. This unbelievable hack involves building raised garden beds by layering rotting wood, branches, and other organic stuff, then covering it all with compost and soil. As that wood breaks down, it becomes a slow-release fertilizer, holds on to an incredible amount of moisture, like a giant sponge, and makes the soil warmer and better aerated. These beds need less watering, get more fertile over time, and can turn pretty useless land into a garden that's just bursting with life. Preserving all that food you grow without relying on a massive freezer is also super important. Solar food dehydrators are fantastic for this, and the hack here is building an efficient one from salvaged materials. Think old windows, scrap lumber, and some dark-colored metal sheets. You can transform these into a powerful dehydrator that uses only the sun's energy to preserve your fruits, veggies, and herbs, locking in all those nutrients and flavors for months. And for things like root vegetables that need cool, stable storage, you just can't beat a root cellar. But don't worry, you don't need to dig a giant hole in the ground. An unbelievable yet really practical hack is the earth-burned or mini root cellar. This can be as simple as burying a large clean trash can or an old chest freezer, a non-working one of course, horizontally into a hillside or even just a well-drained mound in your yard. Just make sure it's got proper ventilation. This method uses the earth's natural insulation to keep your produce fresh all winter long. Your home shouldn't just be a box that protects you from the weather, it should actually work with the elements. Passive solar design is a big part of that, but an unbelievable hack for natural heating and cooling is using earth tubes, sometimes called a climate battery. These are basically pipes buried several feet underground. Air that's pulled through these tubes is naturally cooled down in the summer and pre-warmed in the winter by the steady temperature of the earth. This can seriously reduce how much you need to heat or cool your home. Another simple but really smart hack is strategic landscaping. This is more than just planting pretty flowers. If you plant deciduous trees, the kind that lose their leaves, on the sunny side of your house, they'll provide shade in the summer, cutting down on cooling costs. Then in the winter when the leaves fall, they'll let the sunlight through to help with passive heating. Planting dense evergreen windbreaks to block those chilly prevailing winter winds can also make a huge difference in heat loss. You can even create living walls or green roofs for extra insulation and cooling. It's all about working with nature. Going off-grid doesn't mean you have to be completely offline or isolated, especially when it comes to emergencies. Sure, satellite internet is an option, but a lesser-known hack for local communication, if you have a small community of fellow off-gridders nearby, is setting up a low-power mesh network. Using simple little devices, you can create your own private communication web that doesn't rely on cell towers or the internet. This can be invaluable for coordinating things and supporting each other. And finally, being resourceful extends to your tech too. An unbelievable hack is repurposing old technology for new off-grid tasks. That old smartphone just collecting dust? With the right apps, it can become a solar-powered security camera, a baby monitor, or even a dedicated device for storing all your homestead records and manuals. Old laptops can be stripped down to run essential monitoring software using minimal power. It's all about seeing the potential in things that other people might just throw away. So, for our pioneer, these hacks weren't just quick fixes. They were a total game changer. That Faraday cage brought real peace of mind about their power system. Micro hydro, which once seemed like a far-off dream, now hummed a quiet, steady tune of constant energy. The biosand filter delivered crystal-clear water straight from the rain barrel, and the gray water system made the landscape around them burst with life. The composting toilet actually became an asset, not something to dread, and those eco-bricks formed a neat new border for the garden. Hugelkultur beds were overflowing with produce, which they preserved easily in the solar dehydrator and stored in that simple root cellar. Their home just felt more comfortable all year round, thanks to the earth tubes and smart planting. That daily grind, it transformed. The overwhelming pressure just melted away, replaced by a feeling of competence, of being in control, and genuine joy. The off-grid dream, which had been flickering, now burned brighter than ever. These unbelievable hacks, all rooted in common sense, practicality, and a bit of ingenuity, prove that a thriving, self-sufficient life isn't about just toughing it out. It's about working smarter, working with nature, and making the most of the resources you have. It's about unlocking a whole new level of resilience and freedom, feeling inspired to take your own off-grid journey a bit deeper, or maybe even take that first brave step. If these hacks have opened your eyes to some new possibilities, how about giving this video a thumbs up? It really helps the channel out.